In this interview, you get to meet Susan, who I met in Florida a night before an Out on the Limb with Kim meetup. And I thought that her van, her 2016 Chrysler Town and Country van that she has done almost all of the building herself, was just so cleverly designed, so compact, comfortable, and beautiful. I just really wanted you to see it. Now, about halfway through this video, I make the big mistake of deciding that our microphones need, because there was a little breeze coming through, I decide that they need the muffler put on them. And so I do that, but I don't realize that when I put on those mufflers, I accidentally hit a button somewhere that caused an echo or a reverb to be on the mics at that point. So what it does is it makes a bit of an echo from that point on. Now, what I've done is I've edited the video and I've taken out just about everything that I said, because whenever I spoke, the echo was substantially worse. So, but anyway, but I didn't want to scrap the video because, of course, I didn't know what was going on while it was going on. And it's just, I just think it's such an inspiring story, her story, and also her van build. And I really didn't want you to miss out on this just because I did a crappy job on the audio. So enjoy. All right, so this is fun. I'm here with Susan and Riley. This is Riley.
Yes.
This is Susan.
Yes.
So Susan and I met in the parking lot of a Cracker Barrel.
Yes, we spotted each other. We're like, oh, she's one of us.
Yeah. This was the night before we came to this meetup. We're on a out on a limb with Kim
Right.
meetup in Florida.
Right.
And so we wanted to talk because you're doing some cool stuff.
Yes, yes, and so are you.
So tell us first of all, catch us up. Like, what are you doing? How are you?
Well, about 3 years ago, I was finished raising my children. I had 6 children. I homeschooled them. I was a busy woman for a long time. And I wanted to see.
Did you say you had 6 children?
6 children, yes, yes, including a set of twins. So, wow. Yeah. So I just wanted to get out and explore and see some things I hadn't seen before. I didn't have a lot of resources. You know, when we'd go see the grandchildren, we'd spend $200 a night for a hotel that we slept in for 6 hours and, you know, left before the free breakfast bar was out, you know. So I actually had COVID and I was in bed for like 6 weeks. And I mainly watch YouTube, and a van life video came across my screen, and that was it. For 6 weeks, I watched nothing but van life videos, and I didn't have a van, but I had a SUV, and I was like, I could do this. And I got the bug, and I think my husband thought it was the fever.
Right.
COVID. He thought
this
it was
part of COVID.
Yeah, this is crazy. It's going to go away.
Yeah.
So I ordered everything known to man from Amazon, which I don't recommend. You should really go out before you buy anything besides a mattress.
It is so hard to resist, though, isn't it?
It is, because you see all the suggestions on YouTube, and you're like, oh, I need that. And literally I have a closet full of stuff I'm never going to use. So but I threw a mattress in the SUV, made it work, and I had a girlfriend who also watched van life videos. And you stay with me. And we planned a trip out to Texas. She said,
Texas from where?
From I'm in Florida, and she was from Alabama.
Okay.
So she said, I've always wanted to go to Waco, where I've already been to Waco, and I love Waco. And I'm like, I'll go with you. So we met in Louisiana at a state park, and it was the worst night ever. We got there too late. We got there after dark. The mosquitoes were the size of quarters. The raccoons ate all my food the first night because we put them on the picnic table, weighted down by a case of water bottles, and they still got them. It was hot, and we didn't have enough airflow, you know, and the fans died in the middle of the night, and Riley was sweating, and I was putting the only fan I had left running on him, and I put ice on his stomach, and I was thinking, man, this was stupid. It must have been the fever, you know? Like, this was a dumb idea. And then we we went, and the next night we actually got a hotel,
Mhm.
and we kind of rethought it. But we had reservations on Lake Waco at one of the COE parks. And we got there and it was perfect weather. It was mid 70s, 60s at night. We didn't sweat. There was no bugs. And I saw the most beautiful sunset out of the back of my SUV. I had the tail up, and I'm like, okay, I'm in. That was just a fluke that it didn't work out. And then we just traveled around. We stayed there 3 nights. We went up to Oklahoma because my grandchildren were there. And I'm like, what's another 4 hours? And then when we went to Oklahoma, it was actually snowing. So in a matter of 7 days, we went from burning heat to perfection to snow. And I think I put 2,500 miles on my car and came back, and I'm like, when's the next one? And I was ready to go.
Yeah.
And I did it for about a year. And
out of the SUV.
Out of the SUV.
And what kind of a vehicle was it?
It's a Hyundai Palisade.
Okay.
And I love her name's Sadie. I love her, but I was putting a lot of miles on her.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is it's our only vehicle, so I was having to pack it and unpack it.
Oh.
And that was the frustrating part, because when you bring stuff in, it's all over your house.
Yes.
It's like a tornado.
My house was a complete disaster.
Yes, it's awful.
Yeah.
But it's you have to do it to make sure you have everything.
Yeah.
So a year later, I was still doing it. I started going to meetups,
and when we say meetups, like some people might not know, a meetup in the van life world is like 3 or 4 days long.
Right. And so usually it's hosted by a YouTuber, and that's how you find out about them. And there's sometimes 50, 70, 90 other van lifers around you. And it's just a secure location. Like there's usually no men can, get in.
So you go to women's only meetups?
So far I go to women's only. If my husband wanted to go with me, I would change that. But it makes him feel more secure to know I'm around other women. And my parents. But so we're all parked here together, and we don't have to lock our cars at night. And there's usually a bathroom, and and it's just you hang around with other crazy people like you who like to sleep in their cars.
Yeah. Okay, so you spent a year going to meetups and traveling in your SUV.
Right.
And what happened at the end of that year?
At the end of that year, I had asked my husband the year before, could I take the seats out of the Palisade, all but one back seat, so that I'd have more room and I could put in a bed and store under the bed. And he goes, no. Until a year later when I was still doing it. And he said, which seats do you want out? Because he didn't want to buy me a van yet, So he goes, tell me what seats you want out. And he took out the seats, and I built a bed because I build things. And
you built it out of what? We'll look at it in a second.
I built it out of wood.
Okay.
Yeah. And it fit really good in the Palisade, and I've reconfigured it to fit in here. And also at the same time, I was building out a cargo trailer. I bought a used 6x12 cargo trailer.
Okay, 6x12, 6 feet long,
6 feet
12
long,
feet or 12 feet long,
and 6 feet wide, and it has a V-nose in the front, and that's another 2 inches. So my bathroom is in the V-nose. A lot of people put their kitchen.
And can you stand up in that thing?
Yes, I can.
Oh, it's tall enough that you can stand up in.
It's 6 foot tall.
Okay.
Yes, and it's basically looks like a high top van.
It looks like a high top
like
van.
With the bed around the around the back, and it's gorgeous. I do have a tour of it on my YouTube channel.
And you built that out?
I built that myself. Yes, 98% of it by myself.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of taking my time building that.
And you were pulling that behind the SUV?
Behind this? Yes.
Okay, so tell us about this vehicle.
So that I didn't really have ready yet. It took me 2 years to build that out.
Okay.
And I didn't have anything to tow it with, although my Palisade also tows 3,500. This tows 3,500.
Okay.
That trailer dry, before I did anything to it, was 1,800 pounds.
Okay.
And I built it to be lighter weight than it was when I got it, because I took out plywood and I put in beadboard. And
all right, so you were telling us about making this trailer.
Yes, so I took my time making that. I took 2 years to make it, and I knew I could pull it with the Palisade.
Yeah.
And so I was still traveling in the Palisade, doing my little short trips and stuff. And my husband works. He still works. He doesn't want to retire. He loves his job. And I kind of got tired of waiting on him. And he is very understanding. And he's like, hey, I'm not home anyway. Go do your thing. He was very supportive in that manner. Not so much about taking out the seats the first time.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Bless
so I'm
you.
taking my time building the trailer, taking trips when I can. And then the third year came along, and I just told him one day, I'm going to go van shopping. Do you want to come with me?
I love
And
that.
he
I
said,
love that.
okay. So we went and we found this van. Her name's Joy. She is a 2016 Town and Country. She had 155,000 miles on her.
Okay.
But she only had one owner, and she was in really good condition.
Yeah.
And so I built her out completely. I built a floor in the bottom. I took all the seats out. I cut the seatbelts out. It will never be a 7-passenger again. It's a camper van.
Burn the ships.
Yeah, or it's going to die under my, I'm going to drive it to
Or you're going to sell it to
or
somebody
I'll
who
sell it
wants to
to
do exactly the
someone
same
else who's
thing.
doing
Yeah.
this. Yeah. So I didn't really feel like I was losing anything.
Yeah.
Because for what we paid for it, if I drive it for 3 years and it dies, I still am doing okay.
Yeah.
And so I just keep reconfiguring. I've added a water source. I have a pump sink built into the side window.
And we can it'll make more sense when you talk about all
Yeah.
that stuff when we're looking at it.
Okay.
So let me ask you, Susan, what is it about being able to travel and live in a vehicle and do this? What is it about it that you love?
I think it's the freedom. Because I do have friends at home that think I'm crazy. Like, they're like, I would never sleep in my car. And to me, it's like having a little fort or little, your own little dollhouse that you drive around in, and it's a lot. I just went to court site for 3 weeks. I was gone for 3 weeks, and you don't have a schedule. You can, if you see something you really like, you can stay longer because you don't have reservations that you're going to lose out on, if you don't get there on time. And even though I did like to travel and, like normal people do with hotels and stuff, it's so restrictive. If you see something really neat, you can't stop because you've got to get to the next destination. And I just like the freedom of it. I like that everything I need is with me. We're not bringing in suitcases and then you forget 3 things and you've got to go back out and get it and packing up the next day. Everything I need is within arm's reach. And he can go with me too. Yeah. Because we take him everywhere. And when we were doing hotels, you have to pay an extra fee usually to have a dog with you. Well, I love Cracker Barrels. When I first started, I was doing safe things like state parks, and I like Corps of Engineer parks, and they're always on water because I'm all about the view. If I'm going to pay for a site, it's going to have a water view. But I do like Cracker Barrels. We finally got our cargo trailer working last year, and my husband and I went to Michigan, from Florida to Michigan, 16 days pulling the trailer with this. And I think we only paid $1,000 for the whole thing. And that was gas. We don't count food because we eat whether we're home or on the road. It was awesome. We had no set itinerary. And I'm a little OCD, and I'm a planner and everything. And I just wanted to do like the van life experience where you just wander. You don't have any set plan, and that's what we did. We knew we were going to Michigan, and it was awesome. And usually I ask well, first of all, I always eat there, or I make purchases there. So I either eat dinner there or breakfast, or buy some from the store. And you just ask them if you can park, and they're used to people parking. They have RV parking anyway, so they've always said yes, and they tell you where you can park. So I like that because there's other people around you. I felt like if I cried out in the middle of the night, somebody would be there. I also like rest areas. I love rest areas. We did a lot of rest areas on our trip to Michigan. Those are nice because you have an all-night bathroom. Cracker Barrels close their bathroom in the middle of the night. And you have to check with the states because some states have laws that you can only stay 3 hours, but we've never had any issues. And I've stayed by myself, and I've stayed with my husband, and I've never felt unsafe. If I do feel unsafe, I don't stay. So I just get in the car and leave. And I always back in to where I'm facing out, unless like the other night there was 4 of us. And I'm like, well, they're going to have to take all 4 of us. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, so, we had a little caravan.
Yes, we were all sandwiched there together. Yeah. So it just feels safe. If I'm stealth camping, I leave my driver's seat empty so that I can get in it and, jump over the front and get in there. Can you take him? Well, stealth camping is where people don't necessarily know you're in the in the vehicle.
Sleeping in your
Yeah,
vehicle.
yeah. You put up dark window shades. I mean, if they see dark window shades, they pretty much know you're there. But it's I call it ad lib camping because you don't really plan where you end up. But if I'm tired and I can't go anymore, I'll just you know pull over somewhere safe and sleep.
It's so great.
Yeah. Well, it's made me feel stronger. I feel more accomplished. I don't. I'm actually breaking a lot of fears. I had really bad. I was hit by a drunk driver in 2010, and can't work. I was a barber all these years, and I can't work anymore because of that. Yet I'm not on disability. Um, so I had fears of being in the car a lot because of the accident, and I have fears of bridges over water. And I've actually this year, well, the more I drive and the more I'm in these situations, because sometimes you can't cross the state without going over a bridge. And I have conquered those fears. I've conquered, sometimes you get afraid to do something on your own, and I'm not afraid of that anymore. I've got my joy and my dog, and if I want to go somewhere, I'm going to go somewhere. And it's such a good feeling to not be encumbered by your own fears.
That's so great. Good for you. I'm proud of you.
I check on iOverlander before I stay anywhere because there's reviews on there. And if there's been a bad situation, it's been there. And you can also, if there's been a good situation, you can see, well, was that posted 2 months ago or 2 years ago? So I always do my homework beforehand. If I'm going to an area, I check it out before I go. I even look at Cracker Barrels. You can go on Google Maps and see an actual aerial view of that parking lot and go, okay, maybe that parking lot's smaller than I want to be in, or they have a dedicated RV area, so I know they're welcoming to. I want to know, and before I go to a campsite, I check them out too. I know exactly what it looks like before I get there. We have the technology. If I'm in the van, I don't pay for it. If I'm in the cargo trailer and I want electricity to run the air conditioner, like if it's summer and I want Riley to be comfortable and me to be comfortable, I will do that. But if I'm in my van, I don't pay to stay anywhere. And I went on the Butterfly Tracks caravan with Jan and them. We got campsite 2 nights.
Wow.
And that's because it was very, very cold and we wanted to charge our power banks and run heater and everything. 3 weeks. It's the longest I've ever been gone. It's also the furthest geographically from home I've ever driven solo. I ended up in California, so technically I drove from Florida to California. Great adventure. I'm so glad I did it. All right, so this is Joy. She's a 2016 Town and Country, my full-time camper. I named her Joy because she brings me joy. And because we're at a meetup and we're not stealth, I put screens on the windows to keep the bugs out. Very important in Florida. Over here is where I keep my window screens when they're not in use. We actually turned the seat around, and we're going to have a video on my channel where he shows exactly how to do it, because I know other people want to do it. So behind that seat, I keep things I don't use often, like some books and extra snacks and stuff like that. And then, I made these. These are Reflectix in the middle, fabric on the front, and felt on the back. Hand sewed these around,
Oh my goodness.
And the reason I use fabric is because in my Palisade, I had vinyl on the back, and it didn't help with condensation. Because you get condensation in your van, especially if you have the windows closed, and it just like everything stayed wet. So, and I also feel like these keep the weather in or out. And I wanted a neutral, but a bright, something that wasn't dark. I'm a little much, and I change my bedding and stuff with the seasons and holidays and stuff, and I wanted a neutral fabric that didn't. So this is our seat turned around. When we get back to pulling the camper, which I have a trip with my husband coming up, he'll have to turn the seat back around because they don't make a swivel seat for these kind of vans. For this year and this model, he had to get under the van. And it's just 4 bolts, and we'll show you the 4 bolts. We did it before Arizona, and I love it so much because I have so much room, and like a friend can get in and talk with me. And then even when it was turned around, where you see all that stuff in the front driver's seat, you will never see that if I'm in a Cracker Barrel. But all that stuff would be here. And this is a built-in floor. This is the floor that I built. And I took the stow and go seats out because I wanted every bit of the storage. So I built these cubbies.
Okay.
And there's one on each side. And they're insulated like a cooler, so I could keep cold stuff in. Reflectix, yoga mat, you name it. There's like 3 layers of stuff. But Reflectix is on the top because it's waterproof. And then there's one under there. This is 1-inch plywood. And I'll show you what I do for Riley. And I cut my carpet so it would just go back and cover that. Oh, and I keep this under it because even though I try not to get on my knees, you always do it one point or another. And the more padding you have for yourself, it's the better. And then under my bed, I keep extra shoes, usually 3. A slip-in pair like my sneakers, a running, something I can walk in, and a pair of sandals. And if I happen to be going somewhere dressy, I usually don't do dressy when I'm van lifing. So, but I put D-rings in the bottom of the floor here and one over here because I wanted to make this where Riley can't get out if I want to keep the door open. It's a Riley net. So I hook that down here like this. And that like that. And then I scoot these over and, nice and tight around the edges. And then he can sit there and look out. We can also have airflow and I don't have to worry about him jumping out.
That is so clever.
Yeah.
I just love your construction skills and your ingenuity when it comes to imagining things and then building them.
Well, both of my parents are very creative people. My dad was flipping houses before Chip and Joanna were way back in the day, and we were the free help. So I learned a lot growing up. So this is the bed I built. It's the same bed I had in the SUV. And this actually lifts up. It's hinged, and it lifts up so that if I have a beautiful water view out the back, I can just and then I can lean back and I can just look out at my view. So this side end lifts up so that I can look out, and then the back and then this just slides down like that. And the other end lifts up too, but it lifts up because I only built the floor to here because there's a whole big open well down there where the stone goes see, and I have all that stored. And then up here, I had one of those built-in consoles. The DVD player, it was 4 inches deep, and I posted another video last week on my channel where we show how to take it down. Well, when you take it down, you've got holes, pre-built lights, and there's a air conditioner connection. And my husband shows you how to do that. And then there's holes left in there, and I didn't want to look at the holes. And also above the holes is the metal roof. That's all there is. So I took quilt batting scraps and I stuffed it in there and I filled it. And then I was going to get 1/4-inch plywood and build a wall and screw it, but there's really nothing to screw it to. So what I did is I actually had this fur in my sewing studio, and I pinned it up here with white glass head pins. And you can't see them because when I built this bed, this isn't the same legs that were on the SUV. They were a different height. I had to build new legs for the van. And what I did is I sat on the floor in my house and I measured from my butt to my head to see how much room I needed up here, because I didn't want to be, doing that. But this was in the way, if I bent. So I took that out. This is the first trip with that gone, and I love it. I probably will make a quilt because I'm a quilter, and I'll probably make a quilt, but I'm just waiting for the perfect fabric I'll make a quilt and pin it up there, and I'll probably do a little bit wider. There's a quilt batting that is insulated, used to make hot pads and stuff.
Okay.
I will make it out of that, and then it will keep that much more heat out of the ceiling. So that's the plan for that. So over here, this is the more padding you have, the better. Well, this is just a 3-inch trifold. It's the same one I used in the Palisade. It's very comfortable. And I have 2 because when I had the Palisade, sometimes we'd put 2 side by side and my husband would sleep with me. He joined the bandwagon eventually. So after I built the bed, the first couple trips, Riley was on the floor and he didn't like it. He wanted to be up on the bed with me, and this is only 25 inches wide. So I built an extension to this, and this is his bed. But then I decided, it's a wooden frame, and when we get to the back, I'll show you some really cool about this. Right now, I wanted, you've got all this empty window space that goes to waste. It's for nothing. And so I built this coffee bar because all my kitchen stuff was always under the bed. And I'm like, I don't want to dig my coffee pot out, so I wouldn't make coffee. It's right there, it's right handy. So there was a seatbelt thing up here. We took that out. I screwed this to the plastic. And then I built wooden, this is my gray tank. I built wooden sticks, and I painted them the same color as the car.
Okay.
I color matched the car when I did the floor, and the floor matches the car, like the interior of the car. So I had some of that paint left over, and so it supported even more. And then I added this water source to it. And I have a pop-up sink that I put here, and I can run water from right there. And then I added a hinge to this bed so that I could lift it up to fill up the water.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I keep my clothes under this bed.
Okay. Clothes is under here.
Yeah, I've got some really neat, these are actually fat quarter bags. They're used, a fat quarter is a 18 by 22 inch piece of quilt fabric, and they're folded in little squares like that. So quilters carry these fat quarter bags so they can keep that fabric. And what it is it's half a yard cut in half. So that's a fat quarter. And so I roll it. I have one for my pants, one for my shirts, one for pajamas and underwear, and then one for like gloves and hats and miscellaneous. They're see-through. I roll up my clothes. You can take these dividers out if you want to, but they work fine. And then I can easily access my clothes out. And this is my potty.
Oh, good.
This is the standard potty. It's a pop-up potty, but I leave it up all the time because, I had 6 kids. So you got to be able to go when you got to go. So when my bladder calls, I'm ready. I prefer to only pee in here, but if I have to poo in here, I do.
Okay.
And I keep pine pellets with me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I will empty it. If that happens, it's going to get emptied as soon as possible. But sometime it might be in the middle of the night. And if you pour pine pellets over it, you don't smell it. And so I empty it the next day. You just throw it away like you would a diaper. They're black. They come on roll from Amazon. My potty's not empty now. And they come on a roll, and they're made just for this. They're biodegradable, and I double bag them.
Okay.
And then for pee, I always keep 2 bedpan liners in there, and that absorbs it, turns to gel like inside a diaper. I mainly pee in there. So, and I have the little bottle things and the Shiwis and all that. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, I hope I don't pee in my car, or miss. So it's easier just to go in there. So I added this wall. I used to have a tapestry that I blocked this window with because my power banks are on the other side. I have 2 EcoFlow power banks, and I didn't want to see it. So I used to, these little clips are called, what are they called? Office clips. They're like for cubbies. So you got to order a lot of them. And so this time I wanted the wall to be covered all the way back, and I wanted to hang up my Easter decorations. And I actually have a Easter quilt that I made. It was the first quilt I made for this van, but I couldn't find it. This is my regular everyday quilt, but it's kind of springy, so it still worked. So I got my Easter stuff. I keep a light there. In the middle of the night, I put my glasses here so that I always know where they are. And then I added this fruit basket this time because I just wanted one. And I keep about 3 fans in here, 2 battery operated, and then I have a plug-in one so I can plug into a power bank. It's a Gulu. It's a 600 watt. I actually had it before I ever even van as a backup because I live in hurricane land. So, but the EcoFlows I have on the other side are 1800 watt. Yeah, this is I think it's a 30 liter. Can't remember the name of it now, but it's a fridge and a freezer, and I keep them both up all the time because I like to have a little bit of ice, and I like to carry little frozen meals. But it's a great little thing. And so For Christmas, I got this swing box, which is awesome because I used to have a box on top and it was very hard to reach and I needed a ladder to get up there. So we invested in that. It's too heavy for me to lift. That's all I know. I'm sure Amazon tells you how heavy.
Yeah.
So this is a hassock that I keep up here when want to have extra airflow. And it also, this opens up as an awning so that I could cook under it or whatever. I usually use the awning just because it's more. One thing I've learned is everything you put out, you have to put away. So I'm more into simplicity these days. But I do like this thing, especially at meetups, because it can just stay up. So this is what I was showing. This is the back window. I just keep it back there because it's easy to reach. So this is the bed, Riley's bed I told you about. And I added 2 hinges and then I built this into the wall. It's the stop to keep it from, so I put a notch for the hose to go down. And so this is I think this is a 5, maybe a 3. And I have a Berkey at home. So what I do is I fill this completely with Berkey water.
Okay.
Because it's not going to hurt me to wash my face with Berkey water, but I have the water I want to drink with me all the time.
Okay.
So it is filtered water. We just refill it every trip. And so this goes down because it's notched and it won't mess up the hose. And I have a little pop-up sink that if I want to take a bath or whatever, I just put the sink in there. And I push the faucet. And then this is the back part that lifts up. So here's my little pop-up sink. And this storage goes all the way to the floor. And you can store a lot. Yes, there's a lot of stuff. And then I found these clear zipper bags from Amazon, and I love them because, like, this is fasteners. This is, camping type stuff. I always keep my pajamas and a cooling blanket or a sheet right there. Right there in that little pocket. And then, of course, I like this thing, too, because it's kind of like a couch. And that's a new thing too, and I really like that too. I'm glad I did that. And then this is my power wall. I found out, I found out that these 2 EcoFlows fit here perfectly beside my bed, and I can still shut the door. I bungee them in, but I keep it covered. For one thing, for insulation, because I don't want them to get too hot or cold, but mainly because when I'm stopping and I have to hook up, the cords or whatever, I don't want people to go, oh, look at all the power banks she's, because they're high ticket items. You don't want to advertise you've got valuables in your. I have 2 solar panels right now. I have a 100-watt and a 200-watt. I am trying out a device that's like a DC to DC charger. I can't talk about it yet because I'm reviewing it. But I charge a lot higher than just the 12 volts. When I went to Arizona, I had power the whole time because the Gulu, the 600-watt Gulu that was there, it's an AC plug, but I could put the Gulu here on top of here, plug it into the EcoFlow with the AC cord, and then the car would charge the EcoFlow, and then the excess goes up into the Gulu. Well, we drove 4 to 5 hours a day. Oh, at Quartzsite, I was using solar panels. I would put them on my windshield. Sometimes I put them on the ground, depends. I mean, there's a lot of sun in Quartzsite. So, and in the winter, you use less power than in the summer because you're not running so many fans. And the refrigerator was cold enough at night. It didn't have to work too hard to stay cold. Yeah, I never ran out of power. I was very happy about that. Yeah. And of course, these EcoFlow, I had a 2400-watt EcoFlow before, and it finally died. It was one of the older ones. It was like 50-something pounds. I couldn't even hardly lift it. These were on the Black Friday deal from Amazon for $450 for 1800 watts. It's normally $1 a watt. That was less than 50 cents a watt. And they're small and they're compact, and I could lift them. I was in a meetup last week, and you could charge it. You could take it in and charge it, and I can lift 27 pounds. I couldn't lift 50 something. I really like it. And of course, the first thing you have to get as a van lifer is your window, your rain guards. That way you can crack your window without worrying about getting rained in there. from Amazon. I put them on myself. It was no big deal. Come with real sticky, that sticky tape.
Real sticky stuff.
And they've never come off. Bought them for the Palisade too, and they're still on the Palisade 3 years later. So they work well. This is also from Amazon. Some people put magnets down there, which I'm going to get some because they don't always fit. And then the front seat's a disaster right now. There's your yoga mat.
That's my yoga mat. That's hilarious.
And I'll tell you why I got it. I got stuck in the sand at the beach last week, and I was thinking of getting one of those and cutting it in half. Because if I put them kind of like a recovery board, I had told myself then I'm going to get a yoga mat, cut it in half, put it under my bed so that you can pull out of a sticky situation. But also I added a D-ring here for my strap. And this is a heavy duty bungee strap because the last thing you want is 1,800 watts of power falling out. So, but that's my joy. That's actually built in. We didn't know that Town and Country's had that. We ordered a rack because we bought one for the Palisade. And my husband got ready to put it up and he goes, they're already on there. They just fold down. Oh. And then you unfold them and they just stay there. Oh yeah, I have a blow up kayak. Now I would put that in my swing box because it's very hard for me to get up there and get it down. But I have a blow up kayak. I have a bike, but I don't really, I'm a less is more girl now because the more you bring, the more you have to babysit, the more the load, you know. If you put something up, you got to take it down. Yeah. So, and sometimes it's raining when you got to take it down and you don't want to, you know, do that. So, all right, I have a YouTube channel. It's called So Fun Homestead, SEW Fun Homestead. It is mainly about van life and camping and a little tiny bit about our homestead, just normal things that happen in between trips. But I had that channel before. I've had that channel for 4 years, and I just thought, well, I'll just not change the name. Most people do more than one thing anyway. You know, like you're not just a quilter or you're not just a van camper. We all do a lot of different things. If you don't like the quilting part, don't watch it. If you don't like the van lifing part, don't watch it either. You know, I think people who watch it enjoy it. I say just do it. Just put a mattress in whatever vehicle you have, get a way to go potty, put a little food in the car and go. Even if you just go to your local Cracker Barrel for the first time, just do it. Don't think you have to have a van. Don't think you have to have all the stuff because I'm telling you, half the stuff you buy, you're not going to use anyway. Just do it. Just get a friend if you need to, you know, say, hey, you want to go camping and go book a campsite if you need to. Just start. I wish I had done this 10 years ago. And that's my biggest regret that I didn't do it sooner. So that's my advice. Just do it. These are solar lights. They we actually have these on our chicken coop. They let you know if predators come along, but they're motion sensors. So van lifers put them under their cars for one, to keep away big predators, but also to keep mice from going up in your car. And then the little cones, I got those because like at this meetup, if I was to leave, I would want to keep my space. Probably put a lawn chair and the 4 cones up. But we put these on the rug because we were tripping over them. So they're multi-use. And they come in a 4-pack. I think they were like $4 for 4 of them.
So I hope you enjoyed meeting Susan and seeing her rig as much as I did and as much as I did interviewing her. And you can find the link to her YouTube channel below in the description, and be sure to visit her there. And thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.